Today there was really no substance in all the different morning shows. But I found something that I think very few people are going to give as much attention to that I think needs to get attention. Jonathan Karl was on the panel with Chris Christie and another panelist, and they were talking about the Epstein story and Bondi and Bondi and the George Patel or Patel or whatever his name is, the FBI director, and who's to be blamed, etc. And what is so amazing, as you know, Chris once worked for the president in many different capacities, helping him with debates, etc. So he was close to the president. In fact, the president gave him, for all practical purposes, COVID, as I remember. Now, when you see that Chris Christie has to get stern because the host, Jonathan Karl, is actually forcefully putting a defense of the president. First of all, supposedly they're supposed to be neutral, but he actually came out after Christie made the argument that it's all this Epstein issue is the responsibility of the president with all the hoopla that they caused pre-election. It's him who's calling, Trump that is, who's calling the shots. And Jonathan Karl said, oh, no, it's really Patel and Bondi, and those were the other ones who were Christie shut him down. I mean, this normally, if you are watching these programs, even as we know, all of them are biased towards Republicans, that they try to at least frame it in such a manner that it seems like they're simply being balanced. But Jonathan Karl went overboard today, and I want you to listen to how that sounded today.
Defending Pam Bondi, because it starts by saying, what's going on with my boys, and in some cases gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job. We're on Team MAGA. I don't like what's happening. So are those boys and gals of Team MAGA going to go along with this?
Well, look, what Donald Trump is learning is when you start the fire, sometimes you can't put it out. Now, he started this Epstein fire during the campaign and prior to that by alleging that this was all some, Democratic plot, that he was perhaps murdered by former Democratic office holders, that there were a lot of Democrats who had been down to Jeffrey Epstein's island and all the rest. He used that to fire up his own base. He was going to get to the bottom of it, and he was going to release it because he's absolutely in favor of transparency. Well, now you get into the job and you realize, maybe I don't want to do that. And let's be clear about this. Pam Bondi, there's no chance, in my opinion, that Pam Bondi made this decision on her own. No chance. She was instructed by the White House that we're not releasing this stuff. And that's why he's defending her. And now he's at cross purposes, though, because when you bring in people like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who are true believers in what Trump was saying prior to getting elected, they're saying, wait a second, we came here to do the transparency thing.
It seems to me that it wasn't so much Trump himself that was fueling the conspiracy theories. It was the people very close to him, his biggest supporters, people like Kash Patel and like Dan Bongino.
But John, wait a second. We cannot let the president off that easily. He benefited directly from it. He fueled it. He encouraged it. And he certainly didn't stop it. So, part of what bothers me in this context is that Donald Trump gets a pass. Oh, no, it wasn't him. It was somebody else. He took these people who were doing exactly what you just said and put them in charge of the people on the front line of protecting the American people from crime and terrorism and counterintelligence operations. He encouraged this, and by putting them in those positions, he supported the work they were doing.
Well, kudos to Governor Christie, because I was so embarrassed when we see a smart journalist like Jonathan Karl somehow plays as if he knows less than he does about the president and the president operations. The truth of the matter is the mainstream media is scared of the president. The mainstream media is too deferential to the president. The mainstream media is a dereliction of duty. Because again, if we can't depend on them to call call balls and strikes as they should, or in an honest manner, then we'll continue to be fooled over and over again. It is shameful that we get the big, beautiful bill. It is shameful that all these policies that Donald Trump comes out with, that they're not forceful in claiming what these policies are. All of his policies, just the sheer instantiation of evil. And if they would stop trying to give it plausibility, Americans will get the message and vote accordingly.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.